Chapter 10. I stared at the bottom of my cup. Tyree had stopped talking, but I couldn't look at him. Not right and away. Nobody had ever told me that he was right there watching our daddy slip into that frozen pond. Everybody had known it, but nobody had told me. It was like a secret, a lie that had been in my whole life since before I was born. I could hear people talking all around us, talking and laughing. I tried to imagine my daddy running out onto that pond, but I couldn't. I could only see Tyree there screaming from under that tree. "How come y'all never told me?" I whispered. I wanted to scream it, but I didn't know what the words would do. Maybe they'd just sink into the walls and disappear. Maybe they'd reappear years and years later in front of some boy who had spent his whole life thinking otherwise. "Why?" Tyree asked. I looked up at him to see if he was serious. "What do you mean, why?" "'Cause I was his brother. 'Cause it was my daddy. 'Cause it mattered." "'Cause," I said. "Just 'cause." "You think it would have made a difference if you had grown up knowing that I was there?" I nodded. "Why?" "How come you asking why, Tyree? You must have known it would have made some difference, 'cause y'all decided not to tell me. I'm not stupid." "You know how you always want to know what were the last words I said to Mama?" Tyree asked. I nodded. "Well, it always makes me think of the last words I said to Daddy." "You know what they were?" "Yeah. The lady was in shock when the ambulance got there. But Daddy was okay, so they let him and me go home." Tyree swallowed and looked away from me. He stared at the ground of the restaurant a minute before going on. They gave him this blanket to wear, even though he kept insisting that he was fine in all those wet clothes. But he put the blanket on anyways, and the cops drove us home. Mama nearly went crazy when she saw him. She was so scared of something had happened to me. Where was Charlie? By the time we got home, Mom had put him down for a nap. He got quiet again. I waited, and when he started talking, his voice was real low. After Daddy got out of those wet clothes and climbed into bed, I came into the room. I asked him if he thought the dog was going to be okay. Tyree smiled. It was the saddest smile I'd ever seen in my life. Then what happened? Daddy said, "It's all right, T. I'm warm now. I'm warm now." Tyree shook his head. I wouldn't talk about it for a long time. Charlie used to always ask me about what happened, but I wouldn't say. And I made Mama promise not to talk about it. I wanted to make believe I wasn't there. Figured if nobody talked about it, I wouldn't go around blaming myself because I told Daddy to help them. And you know why I told him to help them? I shook my head. Something was coming to me, slow and clear as pancake syrup. Charlie, I kept thinking. Charlie. "'Cause I wanted a stupid dog," Tyree said. "I wanted a dog more than anything in the world, and because of it, I lost my dad. You know what that does to you?" "Yeah," I whispered, but Tyree didn't hear me. "He wouldn't have gone in there anyway," I said. "Oh, he would have gone in there anyway," I said a little bit louder. "Right?" Tyree shrugged and kept looking around the restaurant. He was sort of bobbing his head like he was hearing music inside it. The waitress came over and asked us if we wanted anything else. When Tyree didn't say anything, I ordered 2 refills. Sometimes I stared into the mirror and was surprised to see how little and lost I looked. That was how Tyree looked now, like he was waiting for somebody to come and take his hand and show him the way home. "How come Charlie didn't go to the park with you?" Tyree kept bobbing his head. "Too small," he said, still looking out at the restaurant. "Daddy wanted to read his paper. Didn't want to have to keep an eye out for him. Sundays were me and Daddy's time." "The thing is," Tyree said, "Charlie wasn't there for any of it. For Daddy, for Mama, and it's made him mad. Mad and helpless." I shook my head again, trying to shake Charlie thoughts out of it, but I couldn't. All those years, Charlie must have grown up watching Mama and Tyree at the table trying to figure out how to keep us eating and wearing clothes, and him not being able to help. All All those years of him being too small or too much trouble, him not being the one Daddy wanted to take to the park. I looked around the coffee shop. There were a lot of people in it now. A woman was sitting in one corner by herself reading a magazine. I wondered if she'd ever been jogging in Central Park. Wondered if she'd ever had or wanted a dog, or had a brother who was mad all the way down to his bones. We got all this stuff to carry around with us, Tyree said. You know how they say drug addicts got a monkey on their back? Nah. Well, that's what people say. And it's like we've got monkeys on our backs, except it ain't drugs. You wanted a dog, I said, and I wanted some breakfast. Just regular stuff people want. We didn't know what was going to happen or anything. Charlie didn't want anything from them, I don't think. I mean, maybe he just wanted them. Maybe he just wanted Daddy to take him to the park and you and Mama to let him help with stuff. But that ain't no monkey. The waitress brought us refills, and Tyree waited till she left again before he started talking. Yeah, it is, he said. Charlie got the biggest monkey on his back. I can remember the last thing I said to Daddy, and you can remember the last thing you said to Mama. Least we got to be there, but not Charlie. And I think he carries that around. It's more like a gorilla on his back than a monkey. Nobody told him to go hold up that store, I said. But he did, Tyree said. And while he was gone, me and you had each other after Mama died. And he just had Rahway, you know. It turned him mad, I said. Tyree nodded. I don't know how we're going to take that mad, he said. I really don't. Should send him to Dr. Vernon, I said. That shrink y'all sent me to. Tyree shook his head. We don't have Dr. Vernon money anymore. And Charlie said he didn't want to go to a psychologist. He said he had to see one when he was in Rahway. And since he hasn't really gotten into trouble again, I can't make him. But he's evil incarnate. Ooh, that's great. And he's so evil, he's mean. That's what he means, I said. I kept thinking about the way New Charlie's face twisted up every time he called me Milagro Killer. It reminded me of somebody possessed. Ooh, possessed is when you're controlled by an evil spirit. Evil incarnate? Tyree smiled and shook his head. You'll probably grow up writing those thriller movies where everyone's always screaming. If I have to keep living with New Charlie, I will. I'll have first-hand experience.